Hey everybody, and welcome to the Intentional Harmony Podcast. This podcast is for musicians looking to jumpstart their career, inspire others, and get motivated to make the life of your dream. I don't care if you've been playing music for 5 years or 20 years. If you want a career in music, then what the heck are you waiting for? And let me clarify when I say career. This podcast is not just for musicians that want to make it big. This is for the musician who wants to play part-time, the brand new artist who just needs a little push in the right direction, the artist who does want to make it their full-time gig, and even the artist who's still figuring it out, because really, aren't we all? Whatever your dream and vision may be, this podcast will be here for you. I'm your host, Katie Warren, and I am so excited that you decided to listen today. My goal with each episode is that you explore deeper thoughts, build confidence to make your dream a reality, and give you practical tools and ideas that you can apply to real-life situations. I'll start each episode with a bit of news from the industry because we all know it changes ridiculously fast. Hey guys, and welcome to the 5th episode of Intentional Harmony. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited you're here because we have a great topic to cover today. This episode is all about the unknown, and I'm here to tell you that you do not have to have it all figured out. So, take a deep breath, sigh of relief, because everyone starts here. And I hate to break it to you, but even the biggest artists that media idolizes and you maybe idolize still don't have everything figured out either. And I want to start this episode off just talking about some of the big name artists that have a hard beginning, rather than covering news in the music industry, because this is just so important to understand. And I just want to put it in perspective. If you already know some of these stories, great, but it's a good reminder when you're listening to them on the radio and they're climbing those charts that they started where you started right now, whether you're listening to this in the grocery store, in the shower, in the car, just chilling out at home. People listen to podcasts in weird places. I digress. The point is we all have to start somewhere. So even the people that we idolize in the music industry went through rough times. They are not superhumans. They learned from it and they grew from it, and it just made their career even stronger. It's all about pushing through the hard times and turning it into something good. Let's talk about Ed Sheeran, because he's one of the top streamed artists on Spotify for 2019, and he just keeps popping up with hits all over the place. I'm not sure if you realized his background, but he was bullied pretty severely as a child. He had a really bad stutter, and was teased, and he was afraid to speak up in class, and soon found out that when he sang and he played his guitar, he felt in control of his voice, and it pretty much went away. So when he was 14, you guys, he moved to London to grow his music career. I can't even imagine being that young and trying to play shows. Not to mention, through the few years after, he was homeless for a lot of the time and struggling with money, and I'm sure felt like giving up. And I know we all have had that, I might as well just give this up, it's never going to happen feeling. He had that too, and look where he is. In 1 year, he played over 300 shows. And then 2010 rolled around and social media is growing, and he realized that, hey, you can reach a pretty massive following on social media if you stay consistent and you kind of figure out the tricks of the trade. So news sources started catching on to this guy who's just gaining traction fairly quickly, and he moved to LA without any home or connection lined up and just started sending his music to everybody he could think of. And I know times are a little bit different, but you guys, it wasn't that long ago. He was just being resourceful and doing everything he possibly could think of to make it. He didn't have a choice, right? He had to make it. He moved to LA without a plan other than his music and his passion. But you guys, he didn't have it figured out. He just bought a plane ticket and went. And it worked. That's Ed Sheeran. When he sings now, nobody thinks of him as being bullied, thinks of his stutter, how he was homeless. It made him stronger, and he's not afraid to talk about it, but it all just got built into his story as an artist, and it just makes him, a little easier to connect to. But none of it was easy, and it all took really hard work. So I really liked that story. It was really inspiring, because I know a lot of us go through money issues and bullying and just a lot of crap these days. but that doesn't mean you can't overcome it and you can't push through it just because it's hard. And I'm so sorry if that's happening to you, but you have control over your life, not the people who are just constantly putting you down. So what about the myth of having to start young to make it? Because I've heard that excuse pop up a few times, and I'm going to say right now to stop using that excuse. It is invalid. If you have talent and you have drive, it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. We all know the artists that started really young, and I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the artists who started a little bit later in life. So Jay-Z, he had his first hit when he was 28, and now he's sold 1 million records and has 21 Grammy Awards and killing it. Rachel Platten, she had a song come out called Fight Song, and it's now platinum in the US, and it's holding strong, and she's 34. Sheryl Crow was a school teacher and a backup vocalist, and she didn't even release her first album until age 31. And then a year later, her hit single, All I Wanna Do, came out. So, if you're worried that you're starting too late, I want you to just get that thought out of your head right now. Go look up artists that started late in life, and you're gonna be really surprised. People aren't thinking of age when you have a hit single. They're thinking, oh my God, I love their music. This person has talent. So keep that in mind. Just because you feel like you're starting late doesn't mean everyone else feels that way. We're all trying to play catch up in the music industry, guys. It is changing all the time. If you feel caught up on the industry, please let me know, because wherever you're getting that knowledge from, I need some of that. You know, we can be as up to date as possible, but just as soon as we, quote unquote, get comfortable with the way it is, it changes again and again. So whether someone started at age 12 or age 45, the industry is going to be changing at the same time, no matter what age you are. So we all have to just work together and figure it out together. It doesn't matter how late you start. What matters is how good you are and how hard you're working to get to the top. Because it's going to take some elbow grease. You're going to need to get a little dirty and sweat a little bit. Actually, a lot of it. It's hard work. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But they're not. So the last few stories I want to touch on just prove that we can do hard things and we can overcome a lot. So Rick Allen of Def Leppard, I'm sure you guys know that he was already in the band when his left arm got amputated. He had to reteach himself everything, and he still managed to play drums for them. And we all know how successful his career was. Eminem, his life is not a secret. He raps about his hardships all the time in his music. He grew up in a really poor area with a really, really unstable home, and not to mention, at that time, choosing a genre of music that was dominated by African American males, and he still built a career as one of the most influential rappers of all times. Johnny Cash had to battle addiction, trauma, behavior that was very self-destructive, and had a really hard upbringing. But again, it made him the artist that we know today. So all of these little hard times and pain points in our lives are things that we can use to just grow our drive and grow our passion and grow our art even more. So why did I go through all of these? Because it's important to step out of the spotlight that media illuminates these artists in and realize that they're human too. And most of the artists above have written about their hardships in their music. It's not a secret. They don't try to hide it. It's part of their story. It's part of who they are as a human being. I don't care how young you are. I don't care what you look like, what your background is, or if you went to school for music, or if you don't have any professional training at all. I mean, I care as a person talking to another person on a loving human level, but I don't care about it when it comes to your success and roadblocks and your lack of success. We all go through really hard times. I'm not discrediting your hard times are any less hard than anyone else's, right? But we can use everything because it makes you, but we can use everything in that building of success because it makes you the person you are today. Even if you're on the street right now busking and you barely have enough money to get a hamburger from McDonald's. I'm not saying it isn't hard, you guys, but we're very, very strong and we're very unique and we each have our own story to bring to the table. Like I say all the time, we need something that sets us apart in this industry, and God forbid if it has to be a tough story, then it's a tough story. And if you're listening to this and you're like, gosh, I didn't really have it that hard. I mean, I've had a pretty good life. I don't really have crazy traumatic things that have happened. That's okay. You don't need to have a good story or a bad story. You just need to be you, okay? Just be you and be authentic. But I just want to shed some light on some of the artists that did have to work for it and that were in your shoes, just posting on social media and wondering if anyone's really even going to hear their song. Anybody can make it in the music industry if they have the talent. That doesn't mean they stop working on their talent, because we all have to do the P word. We all have to practice and get better. But the reason most people don't make it is because of consistency and follow through. We have to have good work ethic and we have to have good drive. Plain and simple. There's no other way to get around it. You have to work for it. So let's talk about social media. And I'm not going to talk about strategy because we're going to go through that in another episode. But I just want to remind you that if you're feeling stuck with content and you don't feel like your posts are good, I want you to pick maybe 4 or 5 people who have thousands and thousands of followers on Instagram or likes on Facebook. I want you to stalk them a little bit and go all the way back to the first post on their feed. And maybe they deleted it, but try to find some people who didn't delete it. And you're going to know when you see it because it's not going to be good. And that's okay. Give yourself some credit. Nobody really knows how to do social media until you have trials and errors and you watch your analytics and you see what responds well to your audience and what doesn't. Also keep in mind that there are a lot of vanity metrics out there on social media. So what does that mean? Vanity metrics are metrics that don't translate into your business success. So if you have a ton of followers, but you feel like you're not making any money and you're not getting booked for shows and you're not getting any collaborations and your career's just not going anywhere, but you have these long lists of followers, that's a vanity metric. Your followers need to translate into profit and success. It feels great to have a lot of followers, and we've all looked at that person with a crap load and just thought, wow, I wonder how they got there. I want to be them. What you may not see behind the scenes, well, let's give them credit first. They may have really worked hard to build that following, and if they did, props to them. But some of those people have bought followers, or they get followers through a ton of different loops and like chains, and the followers aren't engaging. I don't care how many followers you have if they're not engaging with you, because that's the point of social media, right? You have to engage, you have to talk to people, you have to have that one-on-one interaction with them. And if your goal is awareness, then it may not be a bad thing at first to get that huge following, but if your goal turns into retention and loyal fans that are going to buy your music and buy your merch and support you and engage with you and follow that music journey and that connect with your story, that cannot be bought. That, my friends, has to be built up over time with consistency, engaging back and forth, some in-depth digging into your content of, again, what works and what doesn't. So it's not easy. And on the topic of not having it figured out, I don't think anyone really has social media figured out. Okay, my full-time job is marketing, and I still don't have social media figured out because it's changing all the time. Algorithms are changing, and just when we think we figured it out, we're forced to figure out a new way to do something. So just keep that in mind. You're seeing polished feeds of someone who probably sat in front of the camera for 20 or 30 minutes to get the perfect picture or recorded the song 10, 20 times. You may be seeing people who buy followers. You may be seeing a lot of different things. So I want you to just put blinders on and really just focus on what your audience wants and what is responding well to your account. We get so worked up in having this huge, huge list of followers and likes that we forget to pay more attention to the people who are already joining our community, who are already dedicating their feed to us and listening to us. So spend more time on the people who have already committed to you. And I'm not saying don't work on building a following, because I know you always should be doing that, but don't forget about the people who have shown loyalty. It's going to start out small, and that's okay, because slowly it's going to gain momentum. And if you stay consistent, you don't have to have it figured out. So that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about. And there's a good thing about not having it all figured out. Say, what? Katie, you're crazy. Yeah, I know. I never said I wasn't crazy. You have to be crazy to be in this industry, right? Okay. So the fact of the matter is, you have to fail a lot before you can learn and grow. And how do you fail? You don't know the answer. You don't have whatever you failed at figured out yet. So if you stop yourself from doing something because you don't know how, then that's on you, my friend. We live in a world where resources are free or pretty low cost, right at our fingertips. We live in a world that's accepting of us running our own business. The problem is, we also live in a world that tells us to go to school and choose a career path before you can even vote, rent a car, or drink. Learn about that career path for 4+ years and then work in that career path for the rest of your life until you hopefully retire with enough money to live on. It's insane. And that could be the perfect combination for someone who loves what they do, and I'm not really talking to that person, right? So imagine that career path is not something you enjoy. That's a long time to be unhappy and to just follow what society says you should do. So if you're happy in your career path you chose, then great. I am really happy for you, but I'm speaking to the person who loves music with a passion, and they know they have the talent, and people have told them that they can go far, but they continue working at a job that makes them miserable because taking up a career in music is scary, and they don't know where to start. Or I'm talking to the person who's going to school for music or just got out of music school and is second-guessing their choice right now because of people's reactions. If we had it figured out, we could predict the future, and that wouldn't be a lot of fun, right? Life is full of hardships, but it's also full of beautiful, beautiful surprises. And if you take each day with an open mind, and you try your best day in and day out, working your dream the best way you know how, you're going to be successful. You can't quit after you fall down. You can't quit just because it's hard. I mean, you could, but how miserable is that? You need to have a career plan, and you need to have goals to drive you forward. Don't get me wrong, that is one of the most important things. And I just blogged about that too. But there's nothing wrong with taking a detour, and there's nothing wrong with taking a little extra time to make things happen. We like to put time limits on things. Okay, if I don't have my career done in a year, then that's it. I'm going back to my old job. If I don't make it in the music industry after 5 years, I'm done. It's just not in my cards. It's not going to happen for me. Have you ever heard of slow and steady wins the race? There's nothing wrong with making a little extra time for the things that you care about and that you were meant to do. And it's true, once your music career takes off, it's not going to stop. So enjoy the time, enjoy the journey of you building and doing this yourself, because how amazing that we have the ability to get all of these resources and reach thousands and thousands of people on our own without paying millions of dollars. And I say this all the time on my Instagram and on my other podcasts and just in general. I'm going to say it again now to you, and I want you to hear what I'm saying. Are you ready? Nobody else is going to want your dreams more than you. People can love you and support you, but at the end of the day, it's your dream, your goals, your life. You have to take care of your needs and your happiness above everything. That's not selfish. Don't fixate on the what ifs and the I can'ts and the fear. You need to push through that and realize that all of the hard times and all of the fear and the unknown and the scary moments that you don't know what the hell you're doing, but you're in the situation and you have to figure it out, that is all part of your growth. Nobody has it all figured out. You can do this. And you can do this without knowing exactly how to do this. And that, my friends, is another episode of Intentional Harmony. If you liked what you heard today, please leave a review, please subscribe, and please share with your friends. We all know musicians, and this may just help them choose the life that they've been wanting all along. I share these messages because I felt it myself. I've seen other people go through it, and I want to share that. I want to let people know that it is possible to live the life you want, and you should be living the life you want. Because what the heck are you doing if you're not? I'm going to shake you through this phone. Live the life that you want. I believe in you, and I know other people believe in you as well, so keep doing what you're doing. Keep being true to yourself, and keep following your dreams. I love hearing from people, so again, shoot me a DM if this episode touched you. Please tag me in your post. Use my hashtags, either Intentional Harmony or hashtag Intent Artist Management. I do have a blog with some freebie content in each post, so that's going to help you really get your thoughts and your goals in line and really put an organization to the madness of building a career. And for that, you can go to my website at intentartistmanagement.com/blogs. And if you want, you can join my email list, and I'll send some more freebie content and some updates as we go along. With that, we'll see you next time on Intentional Harmony.